I would say the lack of social interaction. It's been months since we initially went into lockdown. This is kind of filmed after I filmed the other videos. You might have noticed. At this point, we're coming up on a year, I think in about a month's time. And a year of not being able to hug people who don't live in your house. Not saying that the people in your house aren't nice to hug. A year of not being able to just sit down and have a tea and chat to the random person next to you. I mean, it's crazy what you wouldn't really think you'd miss. Like, for example, smiling at a random stranger. And now you talk to your neighbor, it's like, hey, hi. Yeah, I just miss social interaction, which is ironic because I'm not a touchy person.
So the biggest challenge I faced when COVID happened was online schooling. Now this was a challenge because I had never done that before and I didn't know how to go about it. I overcame this challenge by using my time wisely and doing what I had to do on time.
Not being able to travel. I've got family in Europe and I haven't been able to see them for so long and I miss the cold so much. And not being able to see like family like that or like my siblings in Singapore, it's really difficult. I think that's my biggest challenge, really. How I overcome it, I don't think I have. But I mean, the best way to try is calling and texting, so I try and call. But with family, it's difficult because your relationship with your family often just exists because you're near each other. Like, you exist in the same space, therefore you have a certain relationship. It's not like friends where you're close because you talk a lot. So even if I call my brother, sometimes it's like we don't talk about anything. The whole reason we're close is just by existing in the same location for so long. So yeah, that's been a challenge, but I don't really know how you can help with that. But I mean, helps to be able to contact over the internet, so that's amazing.
I found the biggest challenge from lockdown has been being away from my extended family and close friends. Another problem has been time management in that limbo period between school and holiday, kind of receiving emails every other day and working right into the night and not knowing when to stop. So once I had a better timetable and I'd sorted out my system of where was my workspace and where could I practice and where could I do my art and where could I make my films, I had a much clearer idea and a much clearer structure. And because of that, I was able to make a lot more.
I think the biggest challenge that COVID has presented with me is probably been something to do with my faith. I feel like not being able to go to church on a Sunday and not being able to see the people that I usually see in my community at church has really affected my faith, and I haven't really dealt with that the best. And so because I haven't been on my faith as well as I used to, or as well as I have in the past, that's then kind of bled into the rest of my life, and it's just affecting me holistically. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge.
Being in quarantine during this pandemic has taught me that I must stay on guard and be prepared for change anytime.
The pandemic has certainly taught me never to take anything for granted, and I think, interestingly, quarantine has taught me the importance of spending time in yourself and allowing yourself that time.
I think quarantine and the pandemic have taught me probably not to take things for granted, like silly things like school or music or hockey training, like things that I really missed out on that I didn't realise that I would miss it at the time. It was just normal. So I think things like that have really made me realise that I shouldn't take things for granted, and I should remember all the good things I have, and I should be so grateful that I would be able to see my friends every single day, and like see my grandparents and stuff. I was really grateful when I could see my grandparents again. So I think we have to remember that we're really lucky.
I'd say that being in this pandemic has taught me patience. It's taught me to relax, to chill out. I'm quite a patient guy anyway, but I think there was a couple things that I was expecting to do in 2020 and it just hasn't really come to be. But actually new opportunities have arisen from it. So I guess it's taught me to hold things loosely, to have patience, but also to trust the process and just to do your best with what you're given. I'm pretty sure that's what we're all doing. So that's what I've learned from the pandemic.
Well, during this time, I questioned everything. I had to reevaluate my entire life, especially my friendships and relationships. Lockdown gave me the opportunity to step back and be able to spend time alone with myself for a long period of time, which is invaluable to me. And I just hope that I don't lose that in the future and lose the knowledge I need that time by myself. I also think that quarantine taught me that breaks are often necessary. There were a few instances where I was seeing people every day, and I go to school, so sometimes the people you see you don't have a choice in who you see. So sometimes it gets too much, and you start resenting those around you because you don't have a choice in the situation that you are in. So taking a break allows you to think through it all. And during quarantine, there was a time when I started to almost resent the people that I used to see every day because it was too much for me. And then after several months, I could then appreciate the friendships that I had in person because, I took the time to change my social environment and chat to friends who are in different countries, and therefore changing the situation that I was in, changing my social environment, and then being able to go from that and then coming back and being like, okay, now I miss this. Now I can go back to these types of interactions that I'm having and actually appreciate them. So I think that's amazing. However, the downside of spending so much time on my own means that now I've got a lot of anxiety going back into socializing in society.
So, yeah, I think it's taught me to live in the moment. And even being in the pandemic, I think it's very easy for me even to think, when the pandemic is over, I would like to, if only before the pandemic. We don't have before the pandemic anymore. So I would just say live in the moment and make use of the time you have.
My hope for after the pandemic is that we'll be a closer community. I think the general public have really realised how much they've missed the arts, and as creators will be desperate to share these little revelations that we've had and discovered during this time with each other. I think we will just be able to indulge in the generosity of sharing art again and performing, and I hope that art galleries open, I hope that theatres open and concert halls and cinemas, and that we're able to experience and create art together.
After this pandemic, I look forward to going back to school together with everyone else, and also people getting their jobs back, and there being no side effects of the pandemic.
My hopes for after the pandemic is that I don't lose the knowledge that I have gained. I want to keep the experiences that I've had and not get too caught up in being a teenager that I forget about the value of just being by yourself and having time to think and just being stuck in your own head without outside influence. As terrifying as it can be, it's really valuable, so I don't want to forget that.
Hello and welcome to Shona's opinion on Adele's questions. Sorry. My hope is that people will realise the communities which have been built during this pandemic, whether it be online, pretty much online only, so yeah. I meant whether it be on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. So I thought there was a spider. It all counts for something, and I would really hate to see us leave this pandemic and people just sort of go back to how they were before and ignore people. Or be like, I know I spoke to you on Instagram the whole time we were in the pandemic, but bye. Because these are relationships which are being built daily. My hope is that we'll be stronger as a population in the world. When I say stronger, I don't mean we have more armies or whatever. I mean, as in the connections which have been formed during this time. Yeah, I hope that people can get their jobs back. People in the arts industry, in entertainment industry, even people who worked in offices. I hope that people will be able to still find time and space to take it easy and not feel that we're out of the pandemic. I have to work for all I'm worth in many different ways. I mean, people have learnt skills during this pandemic. I would hate to see them lost.
I hope that things will get back to normal. Obviously, it's going to be a different kind of normal. We're going to be adjusting, and it's going to be a completely different kind of normal with masks and with hand sanitizer. But I think for me, I really hope that things get back to normal. Although it won't be exactly what it was, it'll be different, and we'll have to remember that everything that we've lost and everything that we've been through as a world and as a community, I hope that music concerts get back and things like that, and that I hope everyone remembers that this has sort of brought us closer together as a community and as a world, because we're all tied by one thing.
I guess my hopes for after the pandemic is that people can come together, and that actually through this pandemic there's a new sense of love and community, that because we've been divided for so long, when we come together, all the social issues there may have been or just eradicated, and people can just get along, love each other, help each other out, and just be kind to each other, really. So I hope that this pandemic is really showing people that, life can be short, and also, we're not in control of anything, and so you've got to do our best to love each other and keep the world spinning in a positive way.
I think it's incredibly scary because we don't know what's coming next. And I think what I would say to my contemporaries is that, of course, we are all in this together, but the beautiful thing about it is that we're all going to be together again, going off to wherever we're going. And that means that even if things aren't possible at first, projects will start to slowly happen, and ideas will crawl out of the woodwork, and there is hope.
This is a weird time. Things are strange and no one knows really what's going on or what's going to happen. So just hold tight or just kind of chill. Figure things out as they go. But this was very fun. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing to this channel because obviously you've done that, right?
So do it.
Right? Goodbye.